This is a curated operating system. How do I set myself on fire? Before we begin, remember to like and subscribe and join my Discord server. But yeah, anyway, let's get into it. So here we are on the Omarchy page. I have looked a little bit into this, and the reason I call it the most controversial operating system is largely due to its creator DHH. Now DHH is very famous in the tech space because of his heterodox opinions on software, as well as supporting some interesting political figures, but honestly we're not really here to critique DHH that much, so guys, please keep it civil in the comments below. Right, so this is the website. It's a very simple website. I kind of like that, and here's a video introduction of just like how everything works. So this is the creator DHH. The first two links of course are the manual and the ISO download, so let's go ahead and open the manual because there's not really that much stated about the operating system here. Let's go ahead and see what it's all about. Omarchy is an Omakase Linux distribution based on Arch and the tiling window manager hyper. Now what the fuck is Omakase? Let's go ahead and click that. Omakase stands for Omakase computing. The word Omakase means I'll leave it up to you, or chef's choice in Japanese. It's the idea that most people don't actually know what they want, at least not at first. That they're better off getting something beautifully curated and integrated from someone they trust to make competent and tasteful decisions rather than suffer from the paradox of choice. In some ways, this is anathema to some branches of classic Linux culture, where there's been a strong belief that everyone should know everything about all their tools and that they should preferably configure every last one of them from scratch. So I'm very interested to see what this is all about. This is a curated operating system by DHH and I suppose other contributors on perhaps the community. Let's just go ahead and download it real quick. Click ISO. Yeah, let's just wait for that to download. So it's 7.2 gigabytes. I'll cut the video and resume it when this is done downloading. Omarchy has finished downloading. Let's hop into virt-manager real quick, get this set up, get it installed, and hopefully I'll see what this Omakase computing thing is all about. So here we are in virt-manager, and the way we usually go about creating the operating systems is we just click this button right here, and we proceed. Of course, we will be doing local install media because we have just downloaded the ISO, so we already have the file from which we're going to be installing. Let's click forward. Let's go ahead and select it, and here it is. We'll give it like 8192 megabytes of memory, so that's 8 gigabytes, and we'll give it 8 cores. I don't actually know how much space we need to give it on the virtual hard drive. I am aware this OS comes with a bunch of pre-installed stuff like an Office suite and I believe even like ChatGPT. Let's go ahead and give it like, I don't know, 40 gigabytes. That should be enough, shouldn't it? And we'll call it Omarchy Linux. Okay, and we finished now. Let's go ahead and boot this up. So the first thing we see here is that the installer is just a basic Arch Linux installer. Let's just go ahead and press the default option, which is Omarchy install medium x86-64 BIOS. So we are currently booting into the installer and we just see it says Omarchy, so that's pretty good. They've put together some kind of custom display manager, something like that. And alright, so this is actually a text-based installer right now. So we are in a text mode. We are not currently on an actual graphical system, but still this is working pretty well. I really like how this looks. My username will be Tyramid, my password will just be 123, and my full name will just be Tyramid. Email address, we'll just skip this for now, to be honest. The host name, let's call it the Chavez Family PC. And after configuring the locales, we can also set the install disk to be dev VDA. Of course, this is the only option we have right now, so I'll just click it. And it's giving us some progress updates. I'll see you guys when this is done. Let me just go ahead and speed up the footage and hopefully this will be good. Alright, so it took 3 minutes and 22 seconds to install, and we currently have this menu just asking us to reboot. Let's go ahead and click enter. Omarchy. Oh, okay, that's very interesting actually. So it seems Omarchy has its own bootloader. That is very surprising. I was not expecting that they would go to all this much effort just to make an operating system, but hey, it does look pretty nice. Let's just go ahead and click Linux and press enter. So yes, now that it's booted, as usual for my channel, I will be going through the Tyramid YouTube channel operating system task list to judge this operating system and its features. And the first task of this is get a graphical system running, which we have just done. So check that off the list and let's continue to task number 2, which is to change the resolution. How do I change the resolution on this? Can I, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, terminal. So that's super plus return. All right, and we are here in the terminal. So can I like xrand r? All right, of course. See, I'm a bit of a fool because I forgot one of the key things about this operating system, which is that it actually doesn't use X Windows Server. In fact, the window manager it uses is actually Hyperland, which is based on Wayland. So I actually used Hyperland myself for a little while, but then I just went back to DWM because, to be honest, I didn't like it all that much. And as you can see, I think this is probably the first time on this channel that I'm going to have to retroactively go back and award a point that I had previously not awarded, just because for some reason this operating system has like fucked everything up with Hyperland and it no longer updates dynamically, but whatever. Alright, so yeah, change the resolution, that was actually a success, albeit we had to reboot for it to take effect, which is, in my opinion, not very acceptable for an operating system, but at least we got it now. Now we can move on to task number 3. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clone my text editor because I don't want to be using Vim all day. So let's clone Nimped++. And now that everything is built and installed, there we go, my text editor is running in Omarchy. I guess we can move on to programming FizzBuzz. Now I will say there is actually something very nice I have noticed so far, which is that by default, the case sensitivity on tab complete is disabled. Omarchy does that, so big plus points for that. Let's go ahead and create our file. We'll just be programming this in C. Now that I've created a file for our FizzBuzz, let's go ahead and program it. So there we go, FizzBuzz programmed and ready to be compiled. Let's go ahead and compile this. Just with the default GCC options, just because, to be honest, I don't think we really need any more than that. And if we run it, 1, 2, fizz, 4, buzz, fizz, 7, yeah, and 15 is FizzBuzz. Basically, FizzBuzz works. We have managed to program it, we have managed to compile it, and everything works. So task number 3 complete. So now it's time for task number 4, which is to install a new program. Now actually, I have already done this, technically speaking, because first of all, I installed Premake in order to build my text editor, and then I installed my own text editor. So we could technically count that, but I think let's go ahead and install something else. Let's install virt-manager, even though we're not really going to be able to use it. All I want to see is that the actual virt-manager UI comes up, and if it comes up, then you know what, that's good enough for me. Pacman installation is complete. How do I actually open the start menu? Look, start menu. I'm not actually sure how to get a run menu up. Copilot key. What on earth could the copilot key possibly be? Is this one of those like Control-Shift-Alt-Windows kind of cases where it's like an amalgam of a bunch of keys that don't belong together? Whatever, I don't know. But yeah, let's just go ahead and open up the terminal and I guess run virt-manager like this. Yeah, so obviously the actual virt-manager itself is not going to work, but hey, the UI is up, so I guess we count that. Yeah, we have successfully installed a new program. Now the next task is number 5, run a game. And there is this little project that I was working on a while ago, you know, not very complete or anything, but I think let's go ahead and download it, compile it, and see if we can run it. And oh my goodness, this is extremely slow. This is super laggy. Not the most pleasant experience, if I'm going to be completely honest. So laggy, it's basically unplayable. I mean, it is technically running a game, but I almost don't even want to count this. Now, it is honestly a little bit unfair for me to judge the fact that this is laggy. It is a virtual machine, so obviously you do expect it to be a little bit laggy. Well, let's try installing a game that's hopefully a little bit better optimized, or at least will not lag that much. And what else is better to install but the infamous Super Tux cart? Let's get this downloaded and running in no time. So let's go into story mode and see what we can do here. Yeah, never mind. Maybe the little lag I was experiencing on the previous game was a little bit better than this. This is just absolutely abhorrent. I mean, like, this is legitimately unacceptably bad. Then again, it is because it is a virtual machine. We can't expect all that much from a VM in terms of running game performance, and you know, I'm not doing any kind of GPU pass-through, so I guess I will give Omarchy a pass for number 5, even if it is technically just barely managing. Next, we have to browse the internet, and actually, I have been accidentally opening the browser this entire time whenever I want to open the terminal, because see, on DWM, when you press mod shift enter, you will get your terminal, and this keybind has ingrained itself into my muscle memory so damn hard that I keep pressing Windows shift enter because Windows is my mod key, and whenever I do so, I get a web browser instead because the keybinds are all different on this. But hey, you know what, maybe it's convenient for this. Let's go ahead and resize this a little bit, keep it on like maybe 67% or something like that. And the first thing we got to check, of course, is whether we can go on tiermid.net. This is my website, and yes, tiermid.net loads, so that's pretty good. What else should we browse? I think let's watch some YouTube videos. What should we watch on YouTube? I think let's watch
Hello YouTube, how you doing today?
Yeah, I think that's enough of that video. Basically, we can browse the internet and it works completely fine. So give it a point for number 6. That's pretty good. I mean, it's a Linux distribution, so it's not that impressive, but hey, you got to take what you can get around here. And number 7, explore what makes it special. So the first thing is very keyboard navigable. This is one of the best things about Hyperland and tiling window managers in general. I am a massive fan of tiling window managers, and you can see it even has some kind of like binary space partitioning. It's just a great way to organize things, in my opinion. So this is sort of what the operating system means when it says this is opinionated, right? This is not just giving you a very sort of default experience. It's giving you something that the creator actually wants to use, that the creator considers to be appealing to his own tastes. Now, the next special thing is all the variety of key bindings that they actually have here. I'm a big fan of this kind of like cheat sheet style menu coming up when you press a certain key. For example, even in my own text editor, I have this press Control H to bring up more information, and you just got this little cheat sheet menu here. And actually, I did read a little sort of blog post about Omarchy before going in, so you know, I wasn't going in completely blind. I knew like a little bit about it, and I believe it has a custom screensaver. So we go ahead and press Windows Escape, and this system menu comes up. Let's just go ahead and click screensaver. And yeah, this really reminds me of like a C matrix or a Hollywood command kind of thing. Oh, and you can see it forms the Omarchy logo. Granted, it gets cut off, but that's fine. Honestly, this looks really nice. This is a really good screensaver. I think this is really nice, and I'm glad I actually read that blog post, because this is definitely one of the things I probably would have overlooked. You know, it's only natural when I do these operating system explorations that if I go in blind, it is arguably a more interesting and more accurate reflection of user experience, but I will miss things like this. So yeah, I'm glad I read about that. But what else do we have? So this is the Omarchy menu. Okay, what do we have here? Apps. Let's see what apps are pre-installed. So 1Password, Ether, Alacrity. So yeah, ChatGPT is pre-installed. Let's see if we can open that up. And yeah, they literally have like a ChatGPT web app right here in Omarchy. How do I set myself on fire? Stop searching. My god, ChatGPT, can you learn to have a little bit of fun every now and then? But yeah, anyway, what other apps do we have? Okay, it has Discord, Docker. Yeah, I mean, this is developer oriented. I can see why they have Docker, Figma, same thing, yeah. And a bunch of Google services, Kdenlive, my goat. And the LibreOffice suite, of course, this is extremely reasonable to have. But yeah, I think in conclusion for Explore What Makes It Special, this operating system does definitely have a lot of things that are special about it. And they are all united by the guiding philosophy that they are sort of pre-curated, right? There's a lot of stuff pre-installed, there's a lot of stuff pre-configured. You really don't want to be using this if you want a very minimalist operating system, but if your tastes align with DHH's tastes, I suppose in this case, then yeah, maybe this is something you would want to check out. Now the next task is to power off and reboot. Technically, we did already do this when I was figuring out that in order to get the resolution set up, you needed to reboot the system for some godforsaken reason, but let's go ahead and do it again. So we press Windows Escape to get the system menu up, and we see here restart and shut down. Let's just go ahead and shut down. Now let's power back in and see if all the stuff we've created is still there. Alright, so we're back in the bootloader. Let's go ahead and press enter on Linux, logging back into the system. Right, and I will say, the first change I noticed is that yes, we do actually have the same 1920 by 1080 resolution, but the scaling is all changed. I feel like if I change the scaling, you know, it should preserve it, right? Let's see if our projects are still there. Yes, they are. So as far as I'm concerned, this operating system passes with flying colors for power off and reboot. I mean, it managed to reboot through the terminal. It managed to reboot through the system menu. So yeah, very successful in that regard. I think a user will have no trouble figuring out how to do that. Next task is number 9, which is check the style. Of course, we are using Hyperland, so theoretically speaking, we can basically configure it to look however we want. However, this operating system ships with opinionated defaults, so we gotta judge them on the merits of those defaults. And I will say, actually, I think the text-based stuff looks really good. The bootloader looks really good. These menuing systems, they look really nice, but just like, why would you choose this wallpaper? I mean, you know, it's a bit of a nitpick, but like, come on, you travel all this way just to fall at the last hurdle and make it look like Ubuntu. I think if a different wallpaper was used, something that was just like very like a bunch of like geometrical like shapes or something like that, or hell, even a plain color, I think it would actually look look a lot nicer. But at the end of the day, it's not my opinion to decide what goes into the operating system. So honestly, I really like how the majority of this is done, but there are a few aspects probably that I would change if I was running this that make me reluctant to give it the full point for this. So for check the style 0.9, I will give it half a point. And finally, we move on to task number 10, which is to destroy the sucker. So when we run this, it will delete things programmatically from the system, and we will no longer be able to use fundamental binaries that the OS requires to run and operate. However, I will comment, honestly, I'm getting a little bit tired of using RMRF for all my Linux systems. So if you guys know any good Linux viruses I could download to put on these operating system explorations for any future Linux distros, please leave them in the comments below. I'll be very happy to read them. But in order to see the full effects of this, let's actually get some other stuff up at the same time to see how it breaks. Now we have SuperTuxCart open and a Google window open here. Let's go ahead and sudo rmrf. Password is 123. Okay. This is pretty dramatic already, so I think it's deleted all the configuration we've written for Hyperland, and now it is reset to its base settings. We can still play SuperTuxCart. Let's hop back in story mode and see how long this will continue before everything is just destroyed. Okay, for some reason it's upside down and all the colors are completely wrong. There's no skybox texture, although funnily enough, this is now finally running at an almost acceptable frame rate. So hey, if you guys want to use Omarchy for gaming, then I guess the only thing you really have to do is delete basically everything off the system. Let's go to the starting area and let's go to one of the like beginning races. I mean, it is literally upside down, so please, okay, I tried to enter a race and the entire system got replaced with C. So, yeah, I don't think I'm really going to be racing in SuperTuxCart anymore. I mean, hey, it's a successful operating system destruction, so that's what really counts at the end of the day.